could have been at 1-800 lock her up. Because technically,
not 1-800 lock her up.
Because technically, I made physical contact with you.
Yeah.
And what you did was a joke to you. For me, I was triggered. So it's like I'm in fight or flight mode. But it does not take away from the fact I put my hands on you.
Hey everybody, my name is Jaquil the Holistic One Gilchrist, and I'm super excited about this episode today because, of course, I have my very, very, very special guest, Charlicia Boone, who's also just so happened to be my best friend. And yes, I'm going to put that on wax because I want everybody to know, right? But y'all, she is going to grace y'all with her presence today. This episode we're calling, how to respond well in relationships. More specifically though, healthy romantic relationships. The reason why I kind of wanted to paint the picture on romantic relationships is because I feel like a lot of the times there's not enough emphasis on how to stay together. We have a lot of, people showing you the wedding. They show you how they got together or tell you the story, but nobody really tells us how to stay married, how to stay in a healthy relationship so that we can have that longevity. So in this season, I want to connect on this podcast with women and men who I know are in relationships, healthy relationships at that, and who are doing it well. And then also who are willing to be transparent about their story, because sometimes we need to know the things that people been through. So then that way we can learn how to properly respond well in relationships. So without further ado, I'm going to have my friend Charlicia introduce herself and kind of tell y'all what she do, and then we're gonna get into this episode.
Hey y'all, I'm Charlicia Boone, and as Shaquille said, that we are friends, very much so friends.
Best friends.
We're best friends, I'm sorry.
Yep, make sure you say that.
I'm gonna be politically correct.
Okay, that's
I stand corrected.
You all right.
Best friend. Since 2019 we've been friends, I think. Mm-hmm. Yep, we've been best friends for that long.
Dang.
It's been a while.
That's 5 years.
Yes. So I am a mental health professional by trade. We actually met at work. I am married, which is why I'm on the podcast on today, and I'm about to go into year 7. And so as Shaquille said that this episode will be talking about responding. So being able to not just react and go into responding, and we will break down the differences between those. But this is something that I'm very passionate about. I really feel like my calling in mental health and just in general is to really be a servant and help couples, especially younger couples, and give them things that I wish I would have had as I was going through my dating phase, as I was a engaged woman, and then now as a married woman. Even though I'm about to go into year 7, it's still certain things that's still new to me that I wish someone would have tried to prepare me for.
Okay. So I do want to say this. So it's funny, right? Because you say you feel like your calling in mental health is to pretty much help families to become a more healthier union. However, I think the issue is that when people think of mental health, they think of bipolar disorder, they think of major depressive disorder, they think of like suicidal thoughts and things of that nature. But I feel like what we fail to realize is that a lot of the times our mental health and us having optimal mental health starts in the family setting. So it is very important to have therapists and relationship therapists and sex therapists to talk to us about how to have a healthy family setting, because she's saying that because guess what? A lot of the times as mental health professionals, the one thing that we see is people are traumatized because of what?
Their family of origin.
So we need therapists on the scene to talk about these topics that nobody wants to talk about. So I love that, Shar.
So that's why I'm here, because I am very transparent and I don't mind, because I've been through my healing journey and there are certain areas that I'm still going through my healing journey. And I believe that as you're going through your healing, like even like with episodes, because we've been on episodes together before.
Plenty of times.
And there are times where I've gotten revelation during that episode and it's like I felt like a peace or additional layer of healing happened as we were literally on the episode. And so that's why I believe that it's important to be obedient and important to really just talk and just express what you're going through, because to you, your test may be the test, but it's also transitioning into a testimony, and it's not really for us. Like the testimony, no matter what we go through, the testimony is not for us. It's for that person that you've never met before. It's for that person that literally you see randomly in the grocery store and you just start talking and they're like, only if you knew, I prayed about this yesterday. Or they just start crying and you don't even know why. This is literally what it's for. It's bigger than us.
So that's the reason why that transparency is key, because essentially the things that we are so ashamed of sharing on the forefront is the same thing that person need to hear to heal. And that's what the whole story, that is what Vitality, the whole story refreshed is about. Because if you guys don't know, I switched the name of this podcast and I changed it to Vitality because I feel that it's so important for us to live and get re-energized and get revitalized again. And a lot of the times in relationships, we grow stale. You know, I'm not a married woman. I'm very much so single. Is this my left hand? Yep. Left hand don't have no ring on it yet. But the reality of the situation is I like to have these conversations with Shalicia and other married women because I feel like it's going to be a time where I'm going to need to know how to respond well. And I know myself that I can be very reactive because I'm an emotional person. And it's like it takes a level of maturity to say I cannot react. I have to respond. But I have to respond in a manner that ain't going to have me in divorce court. Okay, so I love this. And y'all, so we're going to go ahead and get into this episode. And I actually remember the question about time. Why is it so hard to respond well into relationships?
So
I'm snatching it off. Let's get into it. I don't got no more time for games. Why is it so hard to respond healthy in relationships? The people want to know.
The people want to know. Well, people, I need y'all to give me a minute to kind of get some backdrop before I answer the question.
Lord.
I took this from you because one thing about you is you're big on word studying.
Yes.
And a lot of times, you know, we hear words, we say words all the time. And then when we really look it up and really study it, it's wow, that has a deeper meaning than what I thought. So I want to go back to the title of the episode and break down react versus respond. Because I'm going to be honest, there was a time where I literally used those words interchangeably. But when I looked them up, it's a little different.
So they're really not the same.
Not really.
Wow.
So react. The word react is instinctive. It's an instinctive or emotional response to a situation. And oftentimes that response or reaction is influenced by your past experiences and your fears.
Oh my God.
So essentially when we react, we're responding, but it's out of fear. Or it's, as we say in mental health, a trauma response.
Or like flight or fight.
Fight or flight.
Wow.
Whereas responding, when you're responding, it's deliberate, it's thoughtful, and you're considering the situation at hand. You're not considering the situation based on your trauma. You're not thinking about what happened 2 years ago. You're literally in the moment of what's happening, and you're literally basing your response and weighing your options to be able to make a conscious and educated decision.
Girl, say that again. The people in the back want to hear this again. Say that one more time.
So with responding, it's thoughtful, it's deliberate. You're considering the situation, you're weighing your options, and you're making a conscious decision for that moment. So when you're responding, it has nothing to do with your trauma. It has nothing to do with, you know, you being mad. Since we're talking about relationships, let's keep it real. You stored up that argument that you had 2 months ago. And today is the perfect day that you're going to bring up those emotions and what happened in that argument to spill into today. When you're responding, you don't do that.
So what word came to me was ammunition. So it's almost like when you're reacting, you got that ammunition and you about to pull that out of your back pocket, because you almost, in a sense, like, if you like me, you don't want to lose the argument. So it's like, let me pull out this ammunition so I can get you real quick, because I feel like, you know, I'm losing, and I want to remind you of a situation that happened 3 months ago that's not even relevant right now.
Right.
Good grief.
And so saying that, when I studied that, and I was like, I didn't really think about it like that. I'm gonna be honest, as I was kind of just thinking, like, okay, one thing about you, we have good chemistry when we do podcasts, or when we're talking in general. Mm-hmm. But when you asked me to do the podcast episode with you, I was like, okay, what I'm gonna say, like, how is it gonna go? Mm-hmm. And my mind was really, boom, like, all over. That's why I got these cards. I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, activate what you want me to say.
Right.
So, because it was just so much, and, you know, I'm working, or like I'm washing dishes, and God will show me something, or he'll tell me something, and I'm like, okay, let me write it down real quick, because it was just happening that fast. Literally throughout this week and a little bit last week.
Wow.
So in the moment that I was looking at those words and what they meant, I thought of a story. So the stories that I'm going to share today, I can laugh at them now. My husband and I laugh at them. We were just laughing at it this week, actually. But I'm saying this because I feel like there are couples going through similar things, or have been through similar things, and they literally were at their wits' end, but really, you're really going through growing pains, because nobody really truly prepares you to go from, you know, the woman that you are to like a married woman.
So are you
as we
saying,
say, an independent black woman?
Wow.
And we'll get more into that
Jesus.
when I answer the question.
We have to. So let me ask you this real fast. So are you saying that there is no possible way to be prepared for marriage?
No. Because when I think about when I got married, so Corbin and I dated from October of 2013, and he proposed May of 16. And then we got married 13 months after we were engaged.
Good grief.
And literally, when I think back, you know, I wonder, okay, like, how am I going to know when I'm ready? How am I going to know that, you know, that's the right season for me to get married? I kid you not, Jaquil. I remember standing at the altar. I don't remember particularly what time in the ceremony, but I remember standing at the altar getting married. And it's like, this feeling came over me. It was literally like a bodily shift. Like, my body didn't actually shake or shift. But it was like in my mind, like a shift. Something came over me. It's like, you're a wife now. It's like, I can't really explain it. It's like, we hadn't even been pronounced husband and wife, but as I was standing there, it was like, this is real. It was almost like a confirmation and a peace that came over me.
To let you know, you have now left one season and entered into another season.
Yeah.
So it was almost like your marital crossover.
But I still, even though I felt the peace and confirmation that standing at the altar was the right thing to do at that time, I was not prepared for what I've experienced at almost 7 years. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
And that brings me to my story time.
Yep, because it's the whole story Sunday, so we always going to have a story, okay?
And I have a couple of them. So story number one. So this happened, I can't remember if we were dating or engaged. And this is important to know because I did not this is the day that I realized, literally, you're reacting, you don't know how to respond, and you need to go back to therapy. And this day, when this happened, I think I scheduled a therapy appointment like within the next week.
Good grief.
So what happened was, if you know me, you know my husband and I, we don't really we take each other serious, but not really.
Yeah.
Humor is very much so a part of us. And sometimes our humor to some people can go far, but we understand it. Like, we're almost like borderline prankers sometimes. So this particular day, I had this favorite dress that I liked. And I loved this dress. Whereas for my husband, he was tired of this dress.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
And he decided that he wanted to hide the dress from me. And one day in particular, I was ready to put this dress on. So I did not know at the time he had hit it. He's playing, he's joking me because obviously he's going to eventually give the dress back.
Right.
But in that moment, my mind went all the way left.
Wow.
I did not see in that moment he's joking. Mm-hmm. This is like another one of his pranks. Hee ha ha. Okay, I don't want to play no more, and then get my dress. Mm-hmm. I took it to a whole different level.
Wow.
And I didn't realize I was triggered. Mm-hmm. I was triggered from times in my life, in my younger years, feeling like I did not have control of situations, feeling like I didn't have a voice in situations. You are to be seen and not heard type of things. Mm-hmm. And I reacted based on those flashes that I got in that moment. The dress had nothing to do with my trauma story and my past. But I just snapped into that mode, and I got so angry and mad, and I physically made contact with him. Mm. And it was not in a loving way. For me, even though me literally was like, get away, like, gone now.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, I could have been at 1-800 lock her up. Because technically,
not 1-800 lock her up.
Because technically, I made physical contact with you.
Yeah.
And what you did was a joke to you. For me, I was triggered. So it's like I'm in fight or flight mode. But it does not take away from the fact I put my hands on you. Now, had that been the other way around, what would have happened?
He would have been on 1-800 lock him up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, he's looking at me like, well, I don't know what to do now because that was a joke. Even though I am tired of seeing the dress, I did not know who was going to take it here. So, you know what? I'm going to go for a drive.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm going to decompress.
Oh, my God.
Because I'm not going to react.
Wow.
I'm going to respond.
Wow.
So I'm going to respond and getting some fresh air. So I don't do nothing that can't be taken back. Then in that moment, I'm still triggered. But then this is part 2 of the story when I realized, oh, you really got some issues. I come from a single parent home.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was, for a portion of my life, raised by my aunt. But either way, I never had a consistent father figure in my life. I knew who my dad was. We had, court mandates where we had to see him. But it wasn't an active thing.
Right.
It wasn't always consistent. So, in the dress story, me physically seeing my husband walk out the door, now I'm triggered twice for the second time.
Wow.
He literally just told me, I'm go get some fresh air. I'm gonna let you cool down because I don't know what you got going on. So I'm gonna go make a decision to respond and get some fresh air.
Wow.
Me seeing him go get fresh air sees, oh, he not coming back. He didn't walk, another man that walked out.
So your hypothalamus was like wiggling at
So I'm just all over the place.
Good
so
grief.
Now it ain't even about the dress no
Lord,
more. It's about
your trauma.
You gone. You ain't coming back. So now I'm triggered again. And then now anger is coming up like, oh, I got to get him before he get me. Because he ain't just going to be walking out. He ain't going to be walking out my life like that. The man ain't never say he was walking out your life. He said,
I'm about to leave because I need a moment. Wow.
Reacting, not responding.
Jesus. Do y'all hear this? Are y'all understanding what she's saying? She's basically giving insight as to how her trauma or past history caused her to react in a way that was not healthy in a relationship. And then to take it a step further, her trauma also reinforced that in her relationship he was leaving. And if you didn't nip that in the bud by going to therapy and getting that worked out, how could that have possibly ruined your relationship?
It would have. Because I was a mess. Like, I'm a very fiery person. Like, I'm still a fiery and passionate person. But I was, to answer your question, why is responding well to your spouse so hard? You want to know why?
Why?
Because I'm an independent black woman. I'm good with or without you. I don't need you. You, meaning man, And that's obviously not true because God made Adam and Eve to be each other's helpers. But for me, I'm good. That's the reason why I'm going to school right now to, get these coins together. At this point, I'm already working 2 to 3 jobs. I know how to take care of myself financially. So I'm good. I'm an independent Black woman. And that's why it's so hard to respond well, because I feel like society has taught us as Black women that it's like, let me speak for myself. It's almost like it was an unspoken ingrainment of, you carry a plaque of, I'm an independent Black woman. And that's like a silver platter that every man that you're with needs to know. I'm an independent Black woman, and we have no issue with letting them know that we're independent Black women, as if they can't already see it. Because if we're being real, there are a lot of men out there that may want to approach you that are good men, but they don't, because we carry the badge of honor of being an independent Black woman so heavy. They like, I'm not dealing with this, or it's intimidating to them. I'm not saying to be a doormat.
Lord have mercy.
I'm not saying to let a man walk over top of you and disrespect you. But I'm saying, if we're really honest with ourselves, the independent Black woman mentality needs to go somewhere and sit down.
So I want to address that. I gotta address this, y'all. And okay. So a lot has came up in my mind, and I almost really don't know where to go first. The first thing I want to say is that I feel like even the independent Black woman is a trauma response to a lot of Black women, even dating as far back as to slavery, because that, let's be clear, it was created. This is how you destroy a race, right? Isn't that what the Willie Lynch letter said? How to destroy a race is you separate the father from the mother. You separate the child from the father. And essentially what will happen is you'll have like generations of trauma, and they call it generational trauma. Is really a thing. Is a book out. I wish I would have bought it, but I didn't even think to do so. I have it at home, but it's called Post-Traumatic Slave Disorder, because it's years and generations of people who have a slave mindset due to like the impacts of it. But I said that to say, now we're in 2024 and we're still trying to debunk this myth of being an independent Black woman. But it's crazy, because as independent as we are on the exterior, on the inside, when we see a man walk out of our life, it's triggering and alerting us of that abandonment issue that we have from our father, which brings me up. And we talked about this week. It's this song by Mary J. Blige called Father in You. And she said, when I was a little girl, I didn't have a father, and that's why I'm leaning on you. And then, I'm not about to recite all the lyrics, but she specifically said, that's why I need the father in you. And I feel like as women, we have to understand that's too much pressure to put on a man to be a father when really he's our husband. He's not intended to be our father. But I understand the context of the song, but I also understand how if I had that issue, if I would have saw him walking out the door, how I would have been like, you know what, I'm triggered because now you about to do what my daddy did too. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, friend.
And I didn't realize before this, until that moment happened, I didn't realize how much of an issue, because I carried this thought process up until like we were in a like serious and like, oh, so this is gonna be long term. I literally carried on my shoulder, I'm an independent Black woman, and it wasn't necessarily something I said unless I was in like a relationship to where I felt like I had to let it be known.
But your actions said it all.
My actions said it. And it was one day in particular, I literally remember we were having, I can't remember if we had breakfast or dinner. And this was, again, independent Black woman. I would literally say this as we were married. He would say something and I'll be like, I'm good with or without. And one day in particular, and here's the thing. To me, the things like we have disagreement about or something like that, it's literally growing pains. Like you're literally two different people and we both have very dominant personalities. Mm-hmm. So you're going to clash sometimes. Mm-hmm. But everything is not a fire.
Wow.
But to me, it was like, I gotta get it.
So it was like there always had to be an extinguisher. Wow.
Okay. Like, it's always a fire for me. Like, I'm gonna get him before he get me.
That's a trauma. That is also, just enough FYI, if y'all did not know, that's also a trauma response. Just enough FYI. But I'm listening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, he one day, he looked at me. Like, listen, pretty much, we need to have this conversation. And I'm like, okay. I was not prepared for what he was about to say. Mm-hmm. He pretty much let me know what I would not do going forward. Mm-hmm. As I said, he put his foot down. Mm-hmm. He put it down. And what you think I did? Sat down. I went somewhere and sat down.
You sat down because you already knew. Somewhere. So what made it click though? Because like, for an example, what made you go from like hearing what, like from saying, I'm good with it without to knowing like, I'm never going to say this again. Like what was it in his response that made you know this is not okay anymore?
It was this.
His face.
And for him, it's like, you know how like when you growing up and like your mama give you that look?
Yeah. Oh my God. My mama used to do that, cut her eye at me and then bite that look when she talked.
And it's like, all right, let me go somewhere.
I'm going to go sit down somewhere.
It was like that look. He didn't say, like in that, he looked at me before he even started talking. He looked at me and I was like, oh shoot.
You knew you was in
I don't know what he about to say, but he is serious. Let me just
simmer like a pot of soup.
Let me be a pot of soup and simmer. Mm-hmm. And he had the conversation with me about, you are never to say that phrase to me ever again. Mm-hmm. About you independent black woman, you don't need no man, you good with or without. He said, don't you think I already know that? Mm. Why do you think I work so hard? Mm. Because day by day, I feel like I have to show, almost like that I'm good enough.
Oh my God.
This is my husband.
Oh my
Don't
God.
You think I know? Like, even like since we've been together, I saw how you carry yourself. Like, you carried yourself a certain type of way. You know, we got together. Ever since we've been together, you've worked 2 to 3 jobs. I know you can carry your weight. So I need you to not stop. I need you to stop saying that to me. Because it's hard enough being a black man, gotta go to work, being in corporate America, like, am I gonna get stopped by the police and I make one wrong move? Like, all of those different things that black men go through. And then I have to come home to hear you tell me a lot of the times you good with or without. And I was just looking like Boo Boo the Fool. Like, he's telling the truth. I need to go somewhere and sit down. And then, essentially, I was contradicting myself because I remember when we first got together, I was like, we can't speak for how people do what they do, but I want to, I guess, like, to me, a symbol of coming together as a union. We're going to have a pot of money. Your direct deposit go where my direct deposit go.
Exactly.
This ain't up for debate. It ain't for arguing. For me, I'm trying to show you. We are a team. We're going to be one. And it don't matter how big or how little the pot of money is. It don't matter who bringing the most amount to the pot and who bringing the least amount. Because the reality is we've been on both sides. It's times he's been the breadwinner. It's times I've been the breadwinner. And life is going to bring different seasons and ebbs and flows. All we need to know is whatever the pot look like, we're in it together. So every time I say I'm good with or without you, I'm dividing the pot. So hearing him say that, it was like, you literally contradicted what you've been saying from day one. Go somewhere and sit down. Have several seats.
Good grief.
I couldn't be mad at him. Of course, in the moment, I'm like, in my head, but I really was like, wow, he just checked me like a test.
He checked you.
And then brought up emotions in me because you got to think, I'm not used to a man pretty much putting me in my place.
And taking authority.
Which is the very thing. That's what men are, that's what your husband's supposed to do.
You're supposed
like we submit one to another, but they are, for the most part, they are the head. And so I appreciate those times where he take his rightful place and be the head and tell me to go somewhere and sit down.
Can I ask you a question? Like a real question. And also thank you to anybody who joined in. The issue at this moment in time is that we doing this on the phone and the camera is a distance from me. However, I'm going to get some engagement, right? Tell me maybe in ways that if you are in a relationship, in ways how you plan to respond well. So that's just some engagement. What I wanted to ask, and this is another question to you and to my followers. Do y'all feel, and do you feel that it's disrespectful to tell your husband that you are independent?
Yes.
Why do you feel that way?
I feel like because men, for the most part, because nothing is not exact, but it's always like an exception to the rule.
Good
right?
grief.
But
yes.
I would say the way that men's brains are wired, they're supposed to be the provider. They're supposed to be, I don't even want to say breadwinners, but provide. I think the downside to that is for men, they get fixated on providing being financial. They don't see providing emotionally. They don't see providing of the safety. Like, am I really willing to take a bullet? Or something as simple as when we're out, I walk on the side of the street closest to the car.
Yeah.
A lot of times they don't think about those things. They think providing is just financial. So I think when we disrespect our men and we say things from the independent piece, it hits them to their core, because providing financially and in that way is essentially how they define themselves as being a man. So when we say that, it's like, depending on how many times you say it, every time you're emasculating them.
And then also, I think to myself that with men, like I know as women, we tend to be the more emotional sex. However, I have noticed from being a therapist, from working in mental health over the years, that believe it or not, men are also very sensitive. The issue is that there's not enough safety to express that. And so it doesn't sound safe if a man wanted to be emotional, if he hear, I'm an independent Black woman, right? And the reason why I say that is because when I think about it like from the standpoint of, well, then what am I needed for? I've heard men say that I feel like she don't need me. And it's sad because my thought process, so that is a desire of them to feel needed, when what you just said to my fellas out there, believe it or not, sometimes we just want to be able to cry without you making us feel like our tears are irrelevant because you don't understand it. Or we just need to ventilate. And even though you might not care to listen to us vent, if you could just listen so that we can get it off our chest and then go on to the rest of the evening. But if you don't if you only know provision as financial, then you don't really understand the other aspects of how to be a provider. Wow. This is blowing my mind. Okay.
And then another part to why it's so hard for us to respond well is because as women, we are built to be super women.
Why do you say that?
I feel like it's ingrained. It's like when you even kind of going back to Willie Lynch and just what that looks like as far as taking Black men out of the household. For the most part, we're used to single parent households. So it placed this, I guess, perspective on Black women. I'm the mama and the daddy. So that makes me superwoman. And I have a cape every day.
So it's like you got to be the nurturer and the nature.
And because of that, even though I'm supposed to carry, even though men have feminine energy, but my predominant energy should be feminine and soft and submissive. Now I have this hardness about myself. I have these walls built up because I'm superwoman. I'm the single mom. I'm an independent Black woman. So that's why it's hard for me to respond well. And then we're also not taught healthy communication. And not only that, we're not taught it from a male perspective. Why? Because we were also, a lot of us, raised in single households, and the single parent was not the dad. So how can we glean for something or understand something that we never saw? We never saw an example for the most part, unless we were blessed to have like a spiritual leader or just a man in our life that kind of took that role or whatever and stepped in to fill in the gap. Unless we had that, we don't know what it looked like. Just how men are confused about how to be a leader,
Lord,
and help the woman or help the wife. We just as confused.
We try to act like we not.
Right.
But we really are. Because a lot of the times as women, we feel like it's so hard to connect to a man, but they feel that way about us. But I think what we fail to realize is maybe for us, the reason why it's so hard to connect to a man is because we haven't seen enough. I know I'm blessed that I have plenty of male role models, but a lot of black women have not seen that many male role models. So if I've never seen male role models, and then the only role models I saw were not necessarily good role models, then I already start with the level 0 of respect for a man anyway. So when it comes to the context of a relationship, I got that pop-off spirit. So I'm going to always get up in your face. I'm going to always tell you what I'm not going to do, that I can hold it down on my own. Because for real, is displaced anger about all the men who rejected me or abandoned me anyway. Wow. Okay.
And for me, it goes back to what I said earlier when it came to communication. I felt like there's a period of time where I felt like my voice didn't matter. And I always tell you, I feel like your niece, your oldest niece,
Zay.
Yes. I was her as a child. Like, she's very intelligent. She's very outspoken. But a lot of times that, especially coming from a child, that can be misconstrued of she's trying to be grown. She's trying to be in grown folks' business. But it's just like a curiosity about her.
She's a smart kid. And because she's smart, she picks up on stuff that it seems like it's being grown, but really she's just intelligent enough to see it.
Right. And honestly, picking up on stuff that even some grown people don't have the insight and is really intimidating. She don't know she's being intimidated. She's just thinking about, well, the thought came to my head, I want to ask the question. So for me, I remember having times where I felt like that, but I didn't have someone to nurture it. And so it was a period of time where my voice was silenced. And so I guess once I grew up and became an adult, maybe that's a part of like the fieriness. Like, I feel like it was there dormant in a sense, but it's like now the passion, it's like times 10, because I got to make up for those years that I lost where my voice was silenced. So now I have to battle myself. I'm not silent. I understand there are times you have to choose your battles, but I'm not going to sit down. Like, if I feel like something needs to be said,
Agree.
I'm going to say it. I'm never going to silence my voice again, because now as an adult, I understand that there are situations that I silence my voice on. It can literally be make or break, life or death for someone. And that's the type of blood I don't want on my hands. So I need to learn how to respond and not react. And I need to learn healthy communication, because the irony is my communication is what pays my bills. See how it can be turned around?
Yeah. Because we're therapists. Because we're there, we literally get paid to talk. I mean, I remember in school, on my report cards, I would always get that report of doing well in classes, however, continues to talk in class. Continues to talk in class. Continues to talk in class. So realistically, that was just God already showing me right then and there. That's because you're a communicator. You're a conveyor. However, because you're a communicator and a conveyor, what you convey out of your mouth could literally break your marriage or make your marriage. One of the reels I posted this week and getting kind of like prepared for this episode, she expressed like, I had to figure out if I was going to bring life to the argument or bring a knife. Because if I bring a knife, your tongue is one of the deadliest weapons that you could ever have. It could literally tear somebody down. If she would have decided to bring a knife, her husband, a lot of the times, y'all, but y'all got to realize, you got to seize the moment with men. This is one thing I've learned as a therapist. I'm not a mental health professional. I mean, I'm not a married woman, but I am a therapist. And I've worked with men plenty of times to know that what they expressed was that if they feel you get like one chance with them to prove to them that you're safe. And if at any moment they feel like you're unsafe, that men are going to let you in to see how much you can take. And if they feel like what I give you, you didn't handle it well, a lot of the times you'll never get anything else from them. So my question to you is, when you finally get your man to open up, are you going to be safe? Are you going to bring a knife? Or are you going to speak life? And that's all you got to think about. So, wow. Dang, friend. That was a lot of information to digest. Lord have mercy. Yeah. Okay. All right. You got more?
And so one of the things, this was kind of going back a little bit to when I was telling you the story about him walking out to get a breather, how I internalized it as another man that's supposed to have like a significant role in your life. Because at this point, we're kind of serious. Walking out and not coming back, it reminded me of story number 2. I call it the U-Haul story.
Y'all heard what she said? She called it the U-Haul story.
I call it the U-Haul story. So the U-Haul story, mind you, from the time that the dress story happened and the U-Haul happened, it's years apart. But I got revelation. So the U-Haul story is, again, we're talking about growing pains, right? Okay, something as simple as, children taking snacks out the kitchen, right?
Right.
And it's a no-no. But is it really life or death?
No.
It ain't that serious. So that's how small certain situations were. Well, let's just say U-Haul story, what does that imply? So I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired because, I'm gonna love them. Wait a minute, you what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired
over something that's not life or death.
And I gotta let you know, remember, I can't tell you I'm an independent.
Speak the truth, friend.
I can't tell you I'm an independent black woman.
Because you already told me to go sit down somewhere.
And I'm gonna respect it. So I'm not gonna tell you. I'm just gonna get a U-Haul truck and I'm gonna show you. I got to show you.
So you still had that in your... That's crazy. Y'all hear what she said? She said, I got to show you. So essentially, she still had it in her heart. The heart of, okay, I'm not going to say it no more because for real, I ain't about that life. I ain't going to test you in that area. But in my heart, I still feel like, nuck if you buck, because I'm going to get... Okay, I'm listening.
And for me, I've never really been like a material person. Like, nice things are nice things, but I just want peace. I want peace. I want quiet. Leave me alone. Don't stress me out. Like, in the field that we work in, that brings enough stress. In my personal life, I don't need no extra stress. And right now, it's little, but you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of the little stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on uhaul.com.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
And you know me. You know how we got to put God in everything. And some stuff is really, it ain't got nothing to do with God. And so we was like, one day I was driving down the road. I was like, look at God. He done planted a U-Haul station right down the street from my house. I said, that must be a God. I knew it was one, but you are really showing that there is a God. Right when I said I was going to get to U-Haul. So I'm on uhaul.com.
Oh my goodness.
And let's just say more times than it should have been. In my mind, I'm going to get a U-Haul. It's plenty of apartments. You can have a house. I'm not a material person. All that stuff for little Jaquil. And I can laugh at it now. Me and Cole have talked about this story, and we can laugh at it. Because the thing about it was,
Lord,
the U-Haul was in my car. All I got to do was put my car information. And there were days when I think I was so serious. In that moment, I was serious. And so I remember one day I was like, all right, I gotta confess. Like, I can't keep putting these imaginary U-Hauls that ain't never made the driveway yet. I gotta confess and like just tell him. And the thing that really checked me, it was like, okay, well, I can't bring up I'm independent no more. I can't be mad about the dress no more. Now I gotta let the U-Haul die. I can't be talking about no more U-Hauls no more. Because when I'm telling him the story, he's looking at me like, where did this come from? I've never even thought about a U-Haul. Have there been times you got on my last nerve? Absolutely. Have there been times I'm like, she just need to go somewhere and sit down? Absolutely. He said, I've never, and when I say never, I've never thought about leaving. I've never thought about getting a U-Haul truck. But tell me why you're there. And so we talked about it, and he's looking at me. Because it's like things that are growing pains.
Jesus, this is a lot for me to digest. Okay. So, can I ask you a question?
Oh, you can ask a question. I just thought about something.
Was that your protective factor?
It was my protective factor. And the revelation I got from that is I remember there were times I was so angry. And I can say this because I've had this conversation with my dad. That I felt like you abandoned me. I felt like you left me, all of the things. That's what made me say, you can't go think about no other U-Hauls ready to leave for a little bit of nothing. Because the very thing you was angry at him about, you were literally about to do the same thing. And you're in a covenant. You're in a marriage. So you can no longer be mad at him. You can no longer be angry with him because you're literally doing the same thing that you accused him of doing.
Abandoning.
Go somewhere and sit down.
So it's almost like, I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me. I'm going to leave you before you leave me. So before you leave me, I'm going to leave you. But really, it's coming out of a fear that you're going to be loved and hurt and abandoned.
And him, he like, when I think about leaving, I'm thinking like going in the backyard to get some fresh air or to go for a walk to clear my head so I respond and not react. And you thinking about picking a whole nother address. How did we get here? I don't know.
And it wasn't even that serious.
And then like to hear him say that, I'm like, girl, just go sit down. Like,
Just go
do you
sit
know
down.
how many times
Wow.
I literally look at myself and say, Charlie, just go sit down. Be a pot of soup and simmer.
And simmer.
Because when I really look at it, you did entirely too much that time. It was a lot.
I'm gonna say this, and this really sucks to say this, but I do feel a lot of the times I feel like sometimes as women, because we're so emotional, a lot of the times we be doing too much. It's hard to admit this, ladies, I know. Not all the time, but there are times where when you're in a safe, healthy relationship, you find yourself overreacting. You're reactive and you don't think out a better way to communicate your frustration. So you just react. I react all the time. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I do. I can be very reactive. Even when it comes to like, it's times, I'm gonna use my sister for an example. Me and my sister were very passionate people. It's been times where when I think back and I reflect, I sparked that argument off. I hate to admit it, but it was how I responded, how I reacted to her that made her react to me, and then vice versa, how she reacted to me that made me react to her. And the next thing you know, we calling my mom to referee a fight because I'm crying. What? Like what?
And you started it.
What is wrong? Why is you that mad? And we trying to call my mom first because we feel like if she hear my side of the story first, she gonna be on my side. It's not, and it's like so reactive. It's like relax. And if you do that to your sister, maybe God is like, you don't need no husband at this moment because you don't even know how to respond with the argument with your sister. What do you want to do with a spouse?
Something that you can't run away from that easily. And so in this situation, it taught me about choice. Every day, we have this thing, I love you every day. Every day we tell each other that several times. It's almost like a rule. A day don't pass that you don't say you love me. That's the problem for me. You're gonna tell me you love me.
You love me, right?
In the morning, at night, sometimes throughout the day, text each other. You're gonna say you love me.
That's important.
That's the standard,
right?
I accept nothing less,
right?
And so with that, I love you, but we have permission to not like each other.
And what does that look like?
So, I love you, I don't like you looks like, okay, I don't withhold from you. So, one of me being petty Patty.
And also, we're adults. So whatever you're gonna say, you're talking to a grown audience. So
I wasn't gonna say that.
Okay,
I know
we're trying to help each other. We need to help each other. Okay.
Petty Patty. My husband, and you already know, he want home cooked meals. He don't want turkey sandwiches every day. Hamburger helper. That has not hit.
That's pageantry.
That has not hit our house probably in 10 years. He has he
has a standard.
So that's okay, because I know he like that. I remember one time in particular. Oh, it's just so bad for me to say this. That it was verses in the house. I took out just enough for me.
Oh.
Because I'm just not feeling you today. I don't like you today.
Oh.
So
Lord, have mercy.
In that moment, while we have an understanding of I can love you but not like you, we had to add a layer to that. Even though I love you and don't like you,
I'm gonna still respect you.
I still have to respect you, and I have to serve you.
Because that's what marriage is. It's sacrificial.
And it's a choice. So even on the days where we said I love you because that's a standard, and I'm not really liking you right now, I'm still going to pack your lunch. I'm still going to kiss you before you walk out the house. All of those things. Those things are choices. And I know it's easier said than done, and it comes with practice. But those are the things, to me, I see those things as the foundation. And those are things that will have a crack in your foundation. And over time, if you neglect them more and more and more, a little crack is going to be a hole. And then you're going to be wondering, how did I get here? Well, you got here because you loved each other, but you didn't like each other, but you had no problem showing each other you didn't like each other.
Say that again.
The hole got there because you said you loved each other. You gave permission to not necessarily like each other, but you didn't, in not liking each other, you didn't choose each other.
Do you think that's how people get to the place where they've been married over years and years in time? However, there's no respect. You see what I'm saying? It's like they love each other, I think, but it's like, I don't love you enough to spend quality time with you. And I don't, because I know that in relationships, there's going to hit a phase where it's a dry phase, or it's a phase where y'all might be arguing more than you used to argue. And it's like the only way to recover from that is to still show that mutual respect. It's like after a while, if the damage been done too deep, you can't recover. I'm going to tell you, a person can love you, but they might not necessarily be able to recover from your disrespect.
And that's something that I'm very intentional about. Like, even when I have my fiery moments, I try my hardest to choose my words wisely and to not cut deep. And now, really have a heart of servitude. So even when you've worked my last nerve, because I know the feeling is mutual, I know I work his last nerve. I'm a lot. He's a lot sometimes. I'm a lot sometimes. It's a mutual understanding. But in that, I choose you. And that made me think of, we were at dinner recently with another couple. And the husband looked at us and he said, what would you say is one of the hardest challenges that you have had to go through? And I knew my number one. For me, it was submission. because we're told as women to submit, but no one really shows us what that looks like. And to me, a part of submission is also serving, because in the the context is the husband is supposed to have a vision. He should have a vision. He should have a mission for the family. And you are going under that. That's what the sub comes in. Sub is under. You're going under his mission, under his lead, under his
I never knew that. Wow.
Yes. So a part of that, is you have to serve. So let's say, for example, he, has a very busy job that's fast paced. Lunch for him is in and out. I literally need my lunch fixed for me.
Right.
That's serving. That's, let's say, he may not be the best at organizing stuff. You're serving him. You're helping him organize. Maybe, let's say, he's not good at putting his suits together and he has a job where outer appearance is everything. And you understand his mission and his call within his role. You're coming under that. But as you being under that, you have to serve him.
And I've seen that all my life, even when it comes to my grandparents and my parents, they play off of each other's strengths. I think even with my grandma, I think I've seen her, my grandpa, he doesn't do the grocery store. Honestly, I'm not trying to be funny. I don't even know if he would, I don't even know, because I've never seen him do it. I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying I don't know if he would even know what to get for the house, right? But so what'll happen is that my grandma goes to the grocery store, but on the other side of that, my grandpa is going to do the laundry and fold the laundry. With my mom, she's more of the administrative person. She gonna make the calls and all the things. But my dad is going to reinforce the things that's not okay or the things that is okay. Oh, we need to not do this, but we can do this because this is a good decision at this moment in time. And so I get what you're saying. Submission is coming off of under the mission, but also understanding everybody's strengths is not the same and our weaknesses are not the same. But if we could submit one to another, I can submit to where your strength is.
Literally, when I say consciously every day, I put it in my mind because I think about these stories I've shared with y'all today. I don't want to be back in those headspaces because the reality is it was toxic.
So do you feel like to choose marriage and to choose submission and to choose union and, in the words of, Al Green, love and happiness, and to choose peace over discord, do you feel like that is literally what it is a choice? You're making a choice to say, I know Prophet Lowe, they call it we do daily, because love is so sacrificial. And that means that you're literally sacrificing yourself daily. Does that make sense? So my thought process is, and I when I ask this question, I'm asking because not to be offensive to anyone, because this is a safe space for everybody. But my question to you is, do you feel that a lot of the times, if the relationship can be rectified, meaning there's no abuse, there's no cheating, things of that nature, but if the relationship can be rectified, is a choice to stay together?
But with that choice, it can't be one-sided. It takes two. Because one person didn't stand at the altar, two people stood at the altar.
This is a lot for me, y'all. I'm just trying to dissect all of this information. And then honestly, I'm not married. So for me, when I'm listening to any woman pour wisdom about marriage, I feel like I just want to shut up and just soak it in. So right now I'm like a sponge because I'm trying to understand. Because I know it's going to be one of these days I'm going to be calling you like, friend, I don't know. Grandma, I'm telling you right now. And I'm going to need somebody to tell me you need to relax. You need to go upstairs and simmer like a pot of soup. Because right now you giving me like I done put the lid over top of the rice and it start boiling over on your flat top stove and making that. Ask me how I know. So, okay. Well, friend. All right. Do you have anything else on that?
Nope.
All right. So now, this is something we're going to do. And hey to anybody who just joined, just filling y'all in. I'm not able to see the comments and stuff because my phone is like a distance away from me. And even though I have glasses on, I still can't see that good. I can see, but not that good. So if you're joining in, some questions or vital questions that I'm having everybody to answer at this moment in time is, how are you going to learn to respond better in your relationships, whether that's friendship, relationship, whatever. And then but we talking about romantic relationships. And then the other question that I asked everybody, more specifically to my women, and if men, you're listening, you can chime in too, is the narrative of the independent black woman disrespectful to me? And so it's saying like, I'm an independent black woman. Is that considered disrespectful to me in your opinion? And if you want to respond, you can just kind of like write it in the chat. So now I'm going to ask you this question, friend. Mm-hmm. What story do you want to tell about how to respond well? What's your story on how to respond well? What do you want to give us?
So what I want to give, of course, we're speaking to women, that there is hope. You can be a reactor today, and then sometimes you can be a reactor.
You can go from reacting, about to get them hot grits and throwing them in his face like you doing your you know how Al Green, his wife threw grits on her. I don't know why I'm bringing that story up. To being a Proverbs 31 woman, you know, responding well. You know what this reminded me of? That story when King David, Abigail, how, you know, my granddaddy did a teaching about Abigail, how Abigail essentially, because of how she responded to King David, it saved her life, and it made him see her as a woman of God, and that's how she ended up becoming his husband. His wife, because she responded in such a way that was so humble. You feel what I'm saying? So be an Abigail today. Be a Proverbs 31. Be a Ruth. You feel what I'm saying? And learn how to respond in a way that's mannerable. And there is hope. So just because you went from yesterday, like Charlie C was saying, to responding like, you know, that pot, that lid on top of a boiling pot of water that's about to run over, we're going to cut it down to like 2 or low, and you're going to simmer like a pot of soup. Because at the end of the day, if you want your marriage, you're going to have to learn how to do that. And I'm not married. I'm just speaking, you know, freely. So, okay.
And, you know, I want to say this. It obviously does not mean that you're not going to have your moments.
Yeah, because you're not perfect.
Of where you're like, oh, I think I'm reacting. But it takes intentionality. So I want to say that your thought process can be reconditioned, right?
What do you feel like reconditioning is?
Like, you get like a redo. Right? So almost think of like, you know, you have your carpet and it's dirty. Reacting. That's dirty thought process.
Right.
But when you get that conditioner and you clean that floor and it's redone into more of like its new state, that's what I'm referring to. Your thought process can be reconditioned. And doing that, God will give you new perspective. He will give you a new perspective on how you see yourself. He will give you a new perspective on how you see your spouse. Because a lot of times the reality is we say, God, I want to pray that you change this in him or you change that.
Wow.
In my experience, it wasn't like that. God just overnight didn't say, oh, I'm going to change this about him. What he did was he reconditioned my thought process. He gave me perspective. Because even though I was reacting on certain things, we all have some type of trauma. We all have triggers. I didn't really take into account the trauma and triggers that my husband had as well.
Because you was focused on your own.
I was focused on my own. And to me, I really had an advantage as a mental health professional to kind of see and know certain things he may not have been privy to. He didn't know.
And I'm going to tell y'all something. If you're a mental health professional watching this, I'm going to tell you about us. This is a flaw that we have. As mental health professionals, y'all, if you're called to the field, right? If you're called to be a therapist, if you're called to be a counselor, a mental health professional, one of the things that God is going to give you with is insight and perspective, right? So, and spiritual gift is better known as discernment. God is going to give most people who are called to the field of mental health professional, not that you chose yourself, the gift of discernment. But guess what, y'all? Because we're over analytical and we overthink everything, that stops us, that hinders us in relationships. So give people grace to get it right. Just because you have insight doesn't mean they yet have insight. Give them an opportunity to be self-aware. That's all I wanted to say. Because we do that as mental health professionals. Yeah, we do.
I did it.
I do it all the time.
I did it.
Yeah.
And so as he was doing it and cleaning up like residue from stuff that I didn't know was still there, again, he didn't just answer my prayer miraculously overnight. I'm going to change A, B, C, and D about your husband. He gave me new perspective on how to handle him and literally to give him grace and to give him mercy. And grace being undeserved favor. Favor means support, kindness. So to give them undeserved kindness.
Wow.
And mercy. Giving him compassion or forgiveness in ways that you could potentially cause harm or punish someone. So he showed me that as he was going through my, reconditioning my thought process, this is how you have to handle him. When you stop being rah-rah and so aggressive and carrying so much of a hardness and tap more into that feminine energy, it's not that I'm just changing him like that. I'm giving you new perspective, and slowly over time, little things that you desired or in ways that you want to see him respond differently, he's going to do it, but it's going to start with you. And the same thing with him. I'm sure there are things he prayed for me about. God ain't just miraculously changed him around. It's based on his perspective. It's based on how he handled. And did he give, how much grace is he giving me? How much mercy is he giving me? And the more that he does that, the more that, he's listening and okay, let me really see why she acting like this. That perspective is really changes it.
So would you say then that the perspective shift, because you now have grace and mercy on them, that kind of can help them to even want to change, because now they don't look at you as nagging them, but actually trying to understand where they're coming from?
And that's literally one of my husband's favorite words at one point.
Nagging.
Because that's how men see it. A lot of
they don't like to talk. They don't like to say, babe, we got to talk. They be like,
so... He calls it nagging, and he says,
and you call it talking and ventilating, and I just need to express myself.
Because sometimes we don't even want solutions; we just want to be heard. But they don't see it like that. And I notice, again, it's not perfect; it's still a daily work. But when I start to recondition, when I start to at least try to nag less or express less. I saw a shift. Like out the blue, he will open up and just talk. Like how you and I are talking about certain things. And I'm like, I never knew that.
That's attractive when I feel, and this is another question, I think for women, when a man start to open up more to us about stuff, we feel giddy because we're like, hey, you trust me. Like, finally, I don't have to dig for this information. I don't have to, basically get my shovel and literally dig up a ditch to try to pull some information out of you. I don't have to go to school for dentistry to try to pull your teeth out to get you to talk to me. Like, I don't have to do those things because you're giving it to me freely. But I did not realize that comes from not nagging.
A lot of the times it does. And a part of this, this was, I think, this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was kind of like when I was reminded of the U-Haul story.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I kept seeing like literally, I think I was washing dishes and I literally saw a hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Like a random hallway of a house or like just a hallway. And I literally got a visual of a woman with her suitcase walking behind her. I mean, like pulling behind her. And I'm like, what? It was so random.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, what was that about?
Wow.
Because I wasn't thinking about getting U-Haul. I ain't thought about getting U-Haul in a minute. So I know that's not about me.
Mm.
What is that about? And so I went on about my day and I later heard halls with the S, Halls. And I ain't talking about the cough drops.
Halls, like literally hallways.
Like the word halls, Halls. And then throughout that day, he started to speak. Each letter stands for something.
Okay, and what is that?
So,
oh my God, this is good.
And
not an acronym.
It was the most random thing. So the H means heal. You have to heal as women in order to be able to create that soft place for your husband to fall.
This is good. Oh Lord. Oh my God. Okay.
A, apologize.
Mm.
And this can be a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Apologize. Even sometimes you don't know what you're apologizing for. Apologize. The first L, let go. Mm-hmm. So we're letting go of the old so that we can bring in new. And growth.
Mm-hmm.
The second L, learning each other's love language. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later.
Mm-hmm.
Learning each other's love language, because a lot of times the way we show love to each other is the way we want to receive love. And it's what comes to us organically and naturally. But it's not how our partner wants to receive love. So that's why we feel like we're missing each other. We're like a ship passing each other. So we need to learn each other's love language so we can know how
and
to
I'm really ready to
other.
talk about love languages because y'all, I don't care what nobody say, this is also very important. I'm listening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the S, submit one to another. So that's halls.
So you saw a woman going down a hallway lugging a bag, and then God gave you this acronym, which is heal, apologize, let go, learn each other's love language, and submit. And I believe this is a recipe of what can actually keep you out of divorce court. And to a degree.
To a degree, this is what he showed me. So y'all not ready to go get luggage. So you're not ready to go get a U-Haul. Every time, actually not even every time that you think about it, before it gets there, ask yourself, did you do hauls today?
Did you do hauls today? And I think of wedding hauls. In order to stay in the bliss of wedding hauls, I have to make sure I do hauls today. So I won't be getting a U-Haul today. Right. Like, that's the way I kind of picked up on that. Wow. I love that. Okay. I have a little impromptu question.
Okay.
And then we'll continue with the drift. What advice would you give to married women, to single women who wish to be married, and to divorced women who want to remarry about responding well?
Honestly, I feel like it wouldn't be any different. I would say watch today's episode. And I get today's episode is not a fit all for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I can only speak to what I feel like I've gotten revelation on to do it. And I will say, especially to single women, it's not just single women. Let me speak to married women first. As a married woman, don't think that because you're married or you might be at the end of your engagement about to be married, the altar is literally just the beginning.
Oh my God.
When you feel that shift of, okay, I made the right move, you have not arrived yet. I'm arriving daily. Like, I have grown since 2017 when I got married, but I have not arrived. I feel like the day that I feel like I have arrived,
you'll be in heaven.
It's when that crack is going to then become a hole because I done got too beside myself.
Wow. Okay.
So I feel like I never arrived. I'm arriving because this is living. It's a daily work. That's what I would say to married women. To single women, continue to be in your purpose. Continue to let God lead and reveal to what you should be doing as a single woman. And he's going to reveal to you, or he's going to reveal to that man, the man for you. And you have to make sure that you're doing what you're doing because he's working with your man, your future husband behind the scenes.
God.
And again, watch today's episode and whatever other things God download in you so that you don't be like myself and a lot of other women who didn't have these nuggets. And these are just a few. This don't even scratch the surface. But that's why I feel so passionate about pouring into married women, pouring into single women, because this is what I wish I would have had.
Yeah.
It maybe could have prevented or reduced some of the unnecessary disagreements.
Yeah.
Because we were literally trying to figure out, how do I communicate? You know what the reality is? I don't even know how to communicate with myself.
Jesus. Yet alone communicate with you. And you are the opposite sex. And that, wow.
And I know you, but I don't know all of you. Because that's still a learning thing. We've been together since 2013. I'm still learning stuff about him and vice versa.
Wow.
So I don't even know sometimes. Imagine in the beginning, you're trying to communicate and you're frustrated with each other because I feel like she got this hardness about her. I need some feminine energy. And then as men, they are wired to be harder on the exterior. Is it a safe space? Because the last woman I was with, she was so, I'm a black woman, independent black woman. I don't need no man. Is it even safe for me to express? And then here's Charlize go doing the same thing. So we both are supposed to be together, working together as a team, but we're literally triggering each other.
We don't know
how to communicate.
We don't know how to communicate. Wow. Oh my God.
So these are lessons that I wish I would have been taught, because it seems like no-brainers until you're in the thick of it and you find yourself in the middle of a disagreement, and then you're looking at each other, no matter how smart, no matter how educated you are, and you looking at each other like, yep, U-Haul truck sounds about right.
At this moment in time. Oh, Jesus. Lord have mercy. Oh my God. Okay, y'all. Jesus, I don't know. For once in my life, I don't have a lot to say. And it's because this is like unknown terrain for me. Like, it's been so long since I've been in a relationship, to be transparent, that when I hear these things, I feel like everybody gets excited about the wedding. I'm excited about the wedding, but I'm really a little shaking in my boots about the after the wedding stuff, because when you in those heated discussions and you don't know how to digress, it's almost like, how do I navigate from being a reactor to a responder? So y'all know that this is called Vitality, the Whole Story Refresh. I changed the name. Look at the last episode I posted 2 weeks ago to know why, to get all the tea on that. However, I'm going to, on a weekly, every week that I do a podcast, going to introduce a segment called Story and T with Key. All right. So each episode, we're going to present a book that kind of demonstrates what the episode is talking about. So I'm gonna, if I'm doing it by myself, I will present a book for you all. But if I have a guest, I allow them to pick the book and I allow them to explain their rationale for doing so. And so, Charlicia, I'm gonna let you take it away with Story and T and me and Key and us.
Right. So the book that I chose for this week is The 5 Love Languages. Some of you may have read the book, you may have heard the book. But yes, so pretty much it's by Mr. Gary Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
And in this book, he goes through 5 love languages.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me tell you them, if you haven't heard of them. So number 1 is words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're someone who likes to hear compliments, you look nice today, you did a great job, that's what that one is referring to.
That's fast. And if you know your love language, drop it in the comments.
Yep. The second one is quality time. So if you like to spend quality time with your loved ones,
mm-hmm.
and when I say quality time, I mean undivided quality time. No
phones, y'all.
Yep.
No phones at the dinner table. This is literally like Q&A, like quality time, good old quality time. Yeah.
Yep. Receiving gifts. If you like presents,
yep,
not just on holidays, not just on birthdays, like just random
give
presents.
Me a gift for no reason.
And with this, it doesn't have to be big. It could be the small things.
It could be flowers from Food Lion. Just give me some flowers.
Yep.
Yep.
Acts of service.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have been working all day,
mm-hmm.
and I hear this a lot of times, like when I'm doing therapy with like women who are wives and mothers and things like that. They've worked, they did all this and that,
mm-hmm.
and then husband tapping them on the shoulder for what.
Yep.
And the house is a disarray.
And can we talk about postpartum on that note? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's also women who are going through like postpartum or like, there's stay-at-home moms. And I know y'all don't believe that stay-at-home moms can get overwhelmed, but I want y'all to think about it like this. If you're a stay-at-home mom, that means you're all day long, you cleaning the home, cooking, whatever, and then tending to the kids. Well, if you have kids that's 5 and 4 and 2 and 1, then that means that they might be rambunctious, and so it's kind of hard to keep the house clean. So your husband who's at work all day thinking like, well, I mean, it's gravy for you, like you at home all day. It should be no reason why when I tap you on the shoulder, you can't just roll over. But for real, you don't understand that I had to change diapers all day. I've been picking up behind these kids all day. I had to cook dinner. I had to clean the home, keep up with the home, and I just I'm drained. So like an example of acts of service would be if your partner comes in the house and he decides that he gonna clean the dishes, or he gonna figure out dinner, whether it's gonna be to cook dinner and or to go grab it. But people who like acts of service, they like you to have a solution. That's really what it is. Yep.
And then physical touch. So hugging, holding hands.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to always be sexual.
Yeah.
It can be, hugging, kissing, holding hands.
Holding hands,
anything.
Yeah. Cuddling.
Yep. Physical touch. And so the reason why, when the kid told me about, the book segment, I thought about communication.
Yeah.
And about reacting and responding.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like a lot of times couples can go from reacting to responding when they have this as their foundation.
Yeah.
Because this, believe it or not, knowing each other's love language, what is your love language versus what it's not. Because like I said a few minutes ago, a lot of times when we're giving out love language, we're giving the love language that we want to receive. We're not taking into account what our partner wants to receive.
Right.
And we're passing each other. That's causing arguments, disagreements, and we don't even know why we're not connecting. So this is a key for a lot of people for the foundation of communication. So
I want to talk about that. Y'all, this is important. Okay. So I'm going to use myself for an example. I'm in a friendship right now. And both of my friends, their love language, because you got to know your friend's love language, your children's love language, is quality time. I'm going to be very honest with y'all. I'm not really a quality time type of girl. Actually, I thought I was an extrovert person where I like to be around people all the time until I started working in mental health. Actually, believe it or not, a lot of the times when I come home, I really don't want to talk at all. I really can do without it. However, just because I have to sacrifice, because relationship, whether it's friendship, your familyship, relationship with your romantic partner, is sacrificial. So no, quality time is not my love language. Actually, my love language is words of affirmation. It's also gifts, right? So I like to be affirmed. So for an example, if you don't tell me I did a good job, I may internalize, well, did I do a good job? Say for an example, if I cook food for you, if you don't say that the food was good, it'll make me not want to cook for you no more, because how do I know that the food was good? So I feel like it's unappreciative. But also I like gifts. So on my birthday, if you don't get me a gift, I'm going to feel some type of way, because on the contrary of that, because I like gifts, I'm very intentional about the gifts that I pick out for you. So it was issues at first in our friendship, because my love language is completely opposite of my friend's love language. Like for an example, Shalicia, her love language is quality time, but she don't like gifts. So we had to meet in the middle on this friendship thing and say, well, friend likes quality time. I like gifts. So friend understands that if she bring me a gift, I'm going to be happy. But I also understand that quality time is not me on my laptop doing notes while I'm at her house and thinking, well, we in the same house. That's quality time, right? No, that's not it. So knowing in a romantic relationship, it'll be my blessing that I get a husband that like quality time, and I'm going to have to bend for him, because it's not fair for him to like quality time and I'm not willing to give that. So knowing your partner's love language can change the game. And I'm very passionate on this, because as individuals, we can be selfish and we can want them to feed our love language, but then we forget the fact that they got a love language too. I'm passionate.
And it all ties, like I said, into communication.
That's it. And because the 5 love language has a test. So it's a free test. Take your 5 love language test to figure out what your love language is. Even you can do it with your children. So if y'all have kids, y'all might got kids, for an example, they always want to touch you and hug you, like my nieces. I know my niece Zaylin, the oldest niece, her love language is gifts, because she always want to burn my pockets up, but that's fair because I'm the same way. And she like touch. How do I know that? Because I got a guest room. She don't want to sleep in the guest room. She'll come in my room, in my bed, and then she put her feet on me, and I'm like, why you gotta leave me alone? But that's her love language. So as she like quality time, so I have to feed her those things. Now I don't always want to, but I do know that as my niece, that's her love language. Right. My youngest niece, Zarly, I know her thing is going to be affirmation. I'm going to tell you how I know. Because I say, you're doing a good job. She'll keep doing the same thing over again for me to keep saying you're doing a good job. I know that at her being 1 year old. Mm-hmm. You have to know your children, your lover, your friends, your family love language, so that way you can give them what they desire in love. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yeah, as it relates to the 5 love languages, this is the one for couples. This is the purple one, but they have all different editions. I think they
got it for
so they have love languages for men. They have for children, teenagers.
Have a great night, y'all. Bye.